Hey guys, welcome to quarantine haircutting life. So I just happen to have a place to do it, but this video is for you guys to be able to clipper cut and also hand cut the guy's hair very simply. I say simply because if you follow the instructions, you can do a pretty good haircut. The first step is to comb everything down and to depending on where their cowlick is, my husband likes to kind of part his over this way, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to comb all the top and the front forward. And what I'll do too is, because what I'm going to try and teach today with the clipper is teaching you that there's different sections where to clipper. There's different sections from the bottom to the sides to the top if you're going to do the whole thing in a clipper. I'm not, but I'm just telling you it can be done. But so this would be a different section, and then this would be a different section, and this would be a different section going up top. You can tell because of how his head shape is. You don't want to just clipper the whole thing. That's not how haircuts roll. They don't look as nice and they don't last as long. But if you clipper in sections, maybe with different attachments, which I'll explain, it'll make for a better haircut. So what you're gonna do is start with your longest attachment, so your the higher number 3, number 4. Start with that first because it's a safe bet in case you make a mistake. And always make sure you double check the number that it is. Make sure that's important. I have a story, my sister didn't do that and she buzzed a hole, and I know some of you have. So anyway, put the number 3. I'm using a 3 right now because I want to see how short it's going to take him. Always better safe than sorry. So making sure it's all attached. And anytime you use a clipper, you don't want to just dig into the hair. Dig in. You want to scoop out. Scoop out. Scoop out. Scoop out like you're scooping ice cream. Scoop out. Scoop out. And the reason being is if you just dig straight into the head, you're gonna go long to short on the line that needs to be longest, the longest spot. So if you go in and clipper out, you're making sure in this first section here, you're just getting that first length done. See what I'm saying? First length done, and you kind of create like an invisible line for yourself. I'm just gonna cut this first. So watch how I do that. Scooping out. Scooping out. Getting that initial length done. People make that mistake and they don't scoop out, and that's what gets you in trouble. You can always go up a little bit more if you need to, and you think, oh, that's a good length. Okay, that's not too long, it's not too short. That looks pretty good. Maybe I should go a little shorter. Okay? But that's pretty good lengthwise, and that's usually what I do on him anyway. So I'm just gonna take it up to the next section, and I'm gonna scoop out. Okay? Scoop out. Scoop out. Scoop out. You can comb it down, kind of scoop out again in between that next section. And kind of see why I'm doing that. Because when you go to scoop out, it lifts the hair up, bunches it up. And you want to make sure you keep it combing down because, again, keep it organized. We did that section, now we're doing this section, and we might even go up to this section, but at least you know it's slow and controlled, at least until you get it down. Make sure you scoop out like that in sections. I'm just combing it. You get the idea, though. As long as you scoop out, you really can do no wrong. Okay? And what I like to do is blow dry that hair off because boys get pretty antsy. Next one I'm going to do is kind of create my line, because creating your line is actually, believe it or not, going to see if you went short, tell you if you went short enough. Depending on these cowlicks, There's one of our friends I do, and he's got insane severe cowlicks. So when I go to clean his lineup, it makes it easier for me to see if I got it short enough. So I don't go too high. I go right below the natural line, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna create a line, and sometimes I hold a comb up because I don't want to take too much hair. And sometimes you want to go, go both directions. So then you can kind of put that down and then see what you need to clean up. A lot of times though, that hair underneath is a cowlick that's swooping and going all crazy. Like I said, for my one friend who's got really severe cowlicks going in, I don't go too high on him because then it takes the line up to here. And I don't want the line, put your head up, babe. I don't want the line to be too high because that's too short. I like to keep it low. So when you create your line though, you can kind of see, oh, I did pretty good, right? And then you can kind of angle the corners a little bit. Comb this down, angle the corners. Okay? Same there, angle the corners. And if it still looks pretty too long, you can go in with the clipper and kind of, which I'll show you at the end. So, looks pretty good, right? Again, I just went in and kind of lifted the comb up and clippered underneath that way. All right, so now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually clean around the ear because it's gonna help you to decipher so you don't take too much. So it'll just, the more you clean up your line, and this means like the line, the neckline all around the ears, and this means all around here, even here, this whole outline. This not so much. That's why I combed this all forward, because then it gets it out of your way, almost like you're sectioning it without sectioning it, okay? Because that's kind of important. So I'm gonna clean the line up right on the ear, and what you wanna do is comb this forward. Depending on how thick their hair is, that's what's gonna create the line. And you see your comb line right there? You go below the comb line, otherwise you could do too much. Okay, see that ridge, right? So you can see the angle on the eyebrow, and then you stop right there, okay? And then what you're gonna do, the next section down is hold your comb exactly parallel with the way the sideburns are, okay? And then you just get that line. So again, it ensures that you don't take too much hair off, right? So, okay. Then what you do is comb again back, like parallel with the sideburns. Again, can you see that? Hold on a second, let me flip this around. Your comb protects the sideburn. You never wanna leave the comb in the sideburn, always brush it back so you can see it. See what I'm saying? And the excess hair that's hanging out is actually what's gonna show you exactly where to cut. So again, now I'm going into this little angle here, right before the ear. Okay? And sometimes I hold the comb there just to be safe. Gotta be careful cutting the ear though. Be really, really careful. Again, I comb down, and you can see I don't just go straight down and cut at the ear. I actually push it out, so I'm cutting on top of the comb, if that makes any sense. And then what I'll do is, just to get some excess, I'll fold the ear down. Okay? And then you can kind of see any hair that's excess, like if there's little pieces, that you can get it, that you can see it much easier. Does that make sense? You can tell I'm an extrovert, I need an audience. So, and then I hold the ear this way, and what I'm doing is kind of scooping around the ear, because notice it's circular shape. It's not a straight line, okay? And again, combing this all forward, you can see the excess hair right there. Pretty clean, right? Okay, and then I comb it a couple extra times to see if I need any more, if I need to cut any more, and actually my line looks pretty good. It's not bad at all. In case they want it really tied up above their ear, around the ear, you can do a little bit, but be careful. You're gonna go back in here with the clipper and you're gonna cut the sides. So that'll get a lot of that bulk off anyway. So notice again, I'm just gonna go around the ear, circular, okay? Because it's a crescent shape. Hold the ear. And you don't want to go too short. Just enough to where it, if you can see that. Hold the ear down, see? Be careful, make sure you're moving away from the head, okay? And then again, on this side, I was saying you comb all that forward. Same side. This is hard to do on my left. So you can see that line. And that, holding the comb there, again, saves you from cutting too much. You don't want to comb in here and cut that. You want to comb past it so that the excess is hanging out. I don't know if I can see that. There we go. So any excess, that line is clean. And if it's not, just kind of make it to be a clean line. So now, again, you can comb back on this line, okay? Be careful, be real gentle with the clippers because sometimes it can nick them or something, so gotta be careful. And then again, right here, I'm gonna do a crescent cut because it's a crescent, it's not a straight line. And kind of hold that out a little bit. This is the hardest part to cut around the ear, believe it or not, because it's just, once you get this outline right, then it's easy to finish the haircut. Right, Ben? Whatever. Okay. And again, I like to dust it off a little, keep my lines and my space clean. And now that I have the outline down, I'm going to go back in with the clipper and I'm going to conquer this third section. And this section is, I call it the third section because down here was 1, 2, okay? Now the third section goes and extends all the way to the side. Does that make sense? So you want to treat it the same. That's your third section, and then your fourth section is here, and then your fifth section is the top, okay? So the sides, I'm not going to get the sideburns. I mean, you can do a little bit. I take that back. You want to go in with the sideburns, and remember, scooping out again, always. And if you need to practice your hand doing that, practice it, literally. Don't do this, okay? So again, I'm going to take this out. I'm scooping, 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 scooping. And then I'm going to go up and out, up and out. And again, if I need to comb down, I can, to help me keep my hair controlled, so I'm really getting it. Now when you go around the ear, you're going to scoop at an angle, like that, okay? And I'm scooping, scooping. Now, you don't want to scoop, this is the weird part about this section of the head, is you don't want to scoop. This is the only section of the head that you don't want to scoop too much out because it's flat Sometimes it is. Check your husband's head. Check whoever your hairs you're cutting is if it is flat. But this is a little bit flatter for him. So I'm gonna scoop kind of straight, if that makes any sense. I'm not gonna do that swooping motion out too much because I want to be able to cut this top crown section that you're not going to be able to get if you scoop too much. Just right here in the crown though. That's the only spot. And again on this side, scooping. Right in front of the ears, scooping. 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 Combing it down. If we need to move the ear so you can scoop around it. And you can see how the excess hair around the ear is going away. Okay? Make sure you're combing as you go. Kind of a critical step. Comb as you go. Okay, so adding a number 2, what I did was, it's really critical to move their head when you go to blend. Really critical. Because you can cut too much. So if you go shorter on your clipper size, notice I'm just barely getting the corners to blend that. And then I'm going to get around the ear a little bit. Barely. Nothing like getting excess hair off of a spot. Again, use your comb if you need to blend a little bit more and go shorter. This comb will protect you from taking too much off. Okay, notice that excess kind of cut. And I'm going to blend it in a little bit. Do this side. Again, it's really critical that you angle the head around so you don't cut too much off. And again, you see I'm taking it in real small motions. It's having a healthy fear of doing the wrong step. Sometimes my best haircuts are when I just take my time and I look at the hair. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. Just take your time, because I could even screw it up. So I'm telling you from personal experience, you just need to, with the clipper especially, because there's no going back, right? Be really careful. This is a number 2, which I don't normally use on my husband, but the only way you're going to really figure this out is with practice. Okay? It's pretty good, right? Okay. So if I need get back in there again and clean my line up, I will. Just kind of go over it again. But you can kind of see how much better that looks because I took a number 2 down here. And I scooped it out pretty good. And sometimes you can comb it down like that and just get the excess. Any hair that's laying on the any hair that's sticking up in the comb right here, you can take. It's interesting. The comb really helps a lot. That's how people make, even if you're not professional. It's really good to use a comb. Much better. Yeah, much better. Okay. All right. Now, I think what I'm going to show you is from here, I'm going to do it all by hand. Because that's what I do with him anyway. He's got a very unique shaped head. Very, very unique. It's great though. Okay, so I wet it down a little bit because you can kind of see it's not blended. I mean, that looks okay, right? But it needs to be blended a little bit more. And you could just take the number 3 or the number 4 and literally, you know, clipper that way, side, side. You could totally do that. And what I mean by that is, you know, just clipper scooping the 4 and the 3, and you could literally be done. But again, if you go to this front spot, do not clip. How do I put this? You almost want to like split the hair down in the middle, like that. Yeah, and then clipper like that, scooping out. And again, lean their head over and do it, and scoop out. When it gets to the front, be really, really careful because that's the part you want to be the longest. And everybody goes, gunk, and they cut that short. You don't want to do that. You don't want to just point into it and go like that and cut that all off. You want to preserve that. So I wouldn't even clipper the front. I would just clipper the sides, scooping everything out, and then lean over this way and scoop everything out. Leave this front out. And then what you can do with the front is just whatever length is here, you just cut, because this will be shorter if you clipper it. Let's say it's like that length. Then you'll just hold your hands up and bring this back to match this part right here. So you'll see as I'm cutting how easy that is. You almost inevitably need to cut though the front and not clipper the front, because literally it's a disaster if you do. I don't know many who can do that, even stylists. Okay, and then you want to make sure that, okay, I cut this way, now I want to cut this way to make sure I have make sure it's all even. And that's pretty much front and even. Did I say even in the front? That's what I meant to say, even in the front. So cut it this way and cut it this way. So crisscross it to make sure you're even, okay? Your lines are even. But I'm going to do it by hand now that I'm here. And I'm gonna start in the back. Here we go. Okay? So I'm gonna take this section, and what I like to do is you hold your head to the shape, you hold your hand to the shape of the head. Okay? Hold your hand to the shape of the head when you're cutting. So right here, again, he's a little flat here. And this is where a lot of the cowlicks are, so don't be afraid. But do you see where it's shorter there? There we go. It's shorter there, and longer here. So I'm gonna literally just cut that, okay? Shorter there, that's my guide. Follow my hand around, shorter there, longer there, okay? And same thing, shorter there, longer there. Now I'm just making sure that I blend this line in, okay? And I'm not cutting too far. Usually it's just 2 cuts. I don't want to go too far up because again, this is my special section here. Okay. And I can kind of see it's blending a lot better. Okay, and then the side as well. See, shorter to long. And again, I'm holding my hands at a curve when I cut to his head. Short to long. Take it in sections, remember. And don't be afraid, you know, kind of stand back and look at your work. Oh, that's blending good. Right on, okay. That's looking pretty good, right? Looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm gonna do the other side. Right here. Again, hold your hand at the curvature of the head. And take off the excess, short to long. Okay? Can you see that, babe? Mm-hmm. Short to long. Anything I see that's because it should all be blending as I do this. Pretty good, right? Look at how bounced you look. Oh, it's so nice. Okay, my husband has a little unevenness. A lot of people do, but it's their head shape. You can tell he's a little bit more flatter here and then rounder here. So take that in mind when you're looking at him, when you're looking at your guy, and you're kind of look at me straight. Okay. So this side tends to cut really a lot easier. This side does not. And I can see the spot. It's literally right there. You can see it poking out. So what I do is I lift it up with a comb, and I call this like poke. I poke at it. I poke at it until it lays down just a little bit. I'm gonna do down here. So again, Zach has like a little bit of a poke spot right here because his head's uneven. So I'm showing people up close how to fix those spots. If you kind of comb it up a little bit and you see that spot is like right there, sometimes you need a mirror. That's why it's important to cut in front of a mirror. And you kind of just use the scissors to poke at it. You go perpendicular to the hair. You don't go parallel. You go at it. But be careful. Your comb needs to be there to kind of protect the head, and also too, you comb out so you don't cut too much. Okay? Maybe this is TMI. Maybe some of you won't do this, but hey, it's good to know in case you're like, I missed a spot or that spot bugs me. You can go in and kind of just lift the hair up. That's why they call this technique scissor over comb, technically. And now it's laying better. See that? Is that better? Now I gotta look at you. And if it still is kind of poking out, you know what I would do is just kind of wet it down. Look at me. Yeah, I think it's fine. You don't want to overcut, right? Because you could tend to overcut. Okay, now moving on to the fourth section. Same thing. What you want to do is Again, your hands are not cupping the sides, they're now moving. So they're not cupping the sides, they're now moving up. Okay, it's a little bit flatter. So that's your next angle, your fourth angle. Your third angle was here. Now your fourth angle, and then we're gonna do the top, where your hands will be more parallel with the head, okay? So for the fourth section, again, short to long. Follow that all the way. Next section, short to long. Next section, short to long. Next section. Now this is the front, so be careful. You don't want to go cutting it all the way to the front. You want to comb it a little bit back where the line is. See that? If you go combing it and cutting all this together up here, it's going to go short. You don't want to do that. Okay? So comb that back again. So that's blended nice. I'm going to move around to around the head here. Okay. This is hard to do on this side. Let's see here. And again, stop right there. Bring this, comb this back where the cowlick is. Comb this back to that little line there. Not the cowlick, where the line is. And I can't talk. Okay. So now my fourth section is pretty much done. It's all even pretty much. And you can kind of hold it and see like, oh, yep, that's pretty even, my section. And check yourself, because it might be a little bit longer on one spot or shorter on one spot. But that too depends on how the ridge in their head. I call this the ridge, the fourth section, because it can drop off more sudden. And then if it's like his, where it's a little bit more broad, it has more thickness here. And if it drops off suddenly, it'll be like a line or like a spiked look on the outside, like it'll spike out. And you want to be careful how you hold your hands when you cut it, depending on their shape. That's the trick. All the guys' head is just different shapes. So pay attention to that. Now your fifth section, this is your guide, believe it or not, right here. In the cowlick, going back to our third section, you're going to be your guide to cut the top, okay? So short to long, again, okay? Can you see that? Short to long. And now what you're doing is you're going to cut a guide all the way down the center. Now that we are here, okay, and the line slopes up, so short to long that way. Now you're leveling out of this fifth section, and you're going to make it pretty much even the whole way, okay? And believe it or not, it matches that section I just cut earlier. So if you don't have that section, just keep extending it all the way to the front. Go all the way to the front. So you literally have that straight line. I had to go back because I had to match it with the length in the front. So that's pretty even. It doesn't slope all the way down, but it does a little bit, okay? So now you have your line there. How you doing, Itchy? And now what I do is I use that line and I make myself, it's easy to match the rest of this fifth section. So see how it's shorter here, longer. So now my shorter and shorter, connecting the dots. See? Just connecting the dots. That's pretty even. Make sure you get that first line pretty even, that's perpendicular to our guideline. Make sure you get that pretty even, okay? Then you go to the next section, same thing. Not too bad. Oh, I missed a hair. Pretty even. Yep. Okay, next section. pretty even. Yeah, pretty even. Pretty even. Yeah, okay. And then what I'll do is kind of comb him forward. I like to look at him and see. This is kind of a, you kind of want to do this actually on all your guys. So make sure you kind of comb it down so it's got a little bit of a straight line. And if there's any wild hairs hanging down, just make it a clean line. Sometimes it doesn't stay down. You don't want to cut them bangs or anything. You're just cleaning up your line on the front, finally. Okay? Babe, look at more straight right there. Thank you. And on this side, same thing. You want to just comb it down, cut any excess hairs. There was one little weird one hanging down. And the same thing right there. Sometimes guys can be receding right here, and believe it or not, leaving that longer makes it look like a comb over. So my last thing that I do is, again, I split this down the middle. This is the only time I swoop my head, my hands close to his head in the corners. So you'll see, like, if you can, babe, turn your head a little bit. You'll see this little corner. This is just this corner and just the corner. But this corner of length right here, I actually cut that. Because when he goes to style it, and you'll see, it looks like he's missing like a spot of hair. Okay, so it makes it look thicker. Okay, that's a trick too that a lot of stylists do. And then so right here, but then some stylists leave it long, and then you're like, why do these pieces look longer than the rest? Okay, so again, this corner right here, and there's that little, you can see it, that little tiny bit right there. Just a little bit. I'm gonna cut that. Okay, and that keeps them looking young, despite how much hair or whatever's happening with the receding line or losing hair. So pretty much looks pretty good. That's pretty much it, right? Do I have anything else I do? I trim your brows. That's pretty easy. Brow trimming is pretty easy too. Again, use the comb. Close your eyes, babe. Use the comb, and that protects their, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. That protects their eyes. Or you can do like this and comb up. And you don't want to cut all that hair, just cut the very wily ones that are hanging out. Only the really, really long ones. And if you turn your comb a little bit up like that, you can see them hanging out. As you get older, as our guys get older, they have these little crazy wilies that stick up. Okay? And you can kind of see it where they are. And so if you see them and they're still not gone, just again, take the comb and scoop to cut. Okay? And the same right here, because on this eyebrow is a little bit longer than the others. You scoop to cut. So he's got a lot more. Turn your head a little bit. Thank you. And you can comb them to kind of, again, comb them to see if all right, we're gonna fix the cowlicks. I forgot to mention that. Everybody has a leading cowlick, and it starts in the crown. And I say leading because it dictates where all the other hair lays, which is why you have, wonky sides. Women have flipped, and then they have, hairs that lay smooth. But the trick to cutting cowlicks is to cut underneath them, if that makes any sense. So you're literally gonna go in like a little kid, except for you're gonna do it very carefully. And any kind of cowlick you see, the trick behind this is to cut underneath it. So I don't know that you're gonna actually get this one down, but it's like you're creating how do I illustrate this? If you're stacking books and you stack too many books, and you don't do it even, like you stack them all like little books underneath big books. You have to remove the little books so the big books lay flatter and all solid on a shelf, right? It's the same idea with hair. If you remove some of the hair underneath the cowlick and create the little books underneath the big books, it's the opposite principle. It actually will lay down. So you want to create or cut like little, very little though. It's like 1 or 2 hairs. You're not going in and cutting a chunk out. No, you're not doing that. You're literally lifting the cowlick up where it's too heavy, and that is a little bit, how do I put it? This is laying heavy over the shorter hair. So I lift the heavy part and I let it drop a little, and I just literally feather like some short hairs in there. And it helps the cowlick lay flat. It's a technique I picked up years ago through my schooling, and I tell people all the time, or unless you have some of the notching shears, this is where this comes in handy, okay? Is you can go in and just literally cut into the cowlick. I don't recommend these, but hey, when you're doing home hair, this is kind of beneficial. So if you see something that's just not laying right, go cut underneath it or around it, and then see if that helps. It helps it lay down a little better. And for him, it does. It just creates a little bit of a separate haircut in his cowlick area. And then I do it on top as well, because sometimes this will lay all wonky and he's trying to style it a certain way, and it will, it's too chunked up. You know, the books are stacked way too perfect. And you want to add the little books in there to break it up so that it lays more free and the cowlick will move a little better. If that makes sense. Does that make sense, honey?
I think so.
Okay. Just a little bit. Thank you.